These are they that call themselves, but they're really the of Satan. That's who's putting all this together. That's where all this is headed. So little by little, it looks like these kind of things, nothing's happening, but I'm about to go through and show you year by year how much progression they've made. And let me tell you what the 7 Noahide laws are first, okay? So the first one is not to, no idolatry, no blasphemy. They're supposed to, remember this one, they have to establish courts of justice, okay? Not to commit murder, not to commit adultery or sexual immorality, which includes homosexuality, and no abortion for the murder. So, and not to steal, and not to eat flesh torn from a living animal. I don't even know why anybody would do that, but okay. So those are the 7 laws.
Is that cannibalism?
Do what?
Is that what they're talking? Cannibalism? Is that what they're talking about?
Well, I mean, that would be from a human being.
I wondered that, but yeah, that's human being. But talking about eating flesh torn from a living animal, it has to do with animal cruelty. So that's what I thought. I don't know if that's talking about people in other countries or what, because we don't do that here. But that's one of the ones on the list. Okay, so right off the bat, now, and here's the problem: these rabbis are the ones that get to define who God is. So right off the bat, the Christian is already the Christian, because they worship Jesus Christ. That's blasphemy and idolatry to them. So right off the bat, you need to die. You need to go have your head cut off. And I don't know, y'all probably heard in the past about Obama, trying to bring in, and he couldn't bring them, so he brought them in piece by piece. He brought them in parts.
No, I didn't hear about Obama. I didn't know that Obama was trying to bring in guilt.
Yeah, this seems like a thing you'd be all over.
Yeah, that does. That sounds like it's right up my alley. What was going on there?
That's in the past. That was, conspiracy theories about Obama, during his, because look, they're all 2 wings of the same bird. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden or Obama or Hillary, it doesn't matter. They're all owned above them by the Jesuits. The Jesuits are the ones that pull the strings and run everything. And Rome, which is the Vatican, and these rabbis, which is Edom or Esau, they are a united kingdom. And matter of fact, the Pope, and I'll have to look here what year it was, but the Pope, he came into agreement with these Noahide laws. They push them too. So do y'all see all of these big Hindu statues and all this weird crap going up, all this Hindu stuff, like big time coming on the scene? That's what it's for. It's for a Hindu alliance and a Christian alliance. They're bringing religions together because where they're headed is New World Order, and where they're headed is one world religion. And
but these Hindus, they would be persecuted as well, right? Because they have these giant statues. These are idols. No, I mean, so even what there you go. Yeah, that's a huge. And I know there was like a huge monkey statue. I forgot where that was.
This is just the most recent one.
Where's that, Mississippi?
That's the most recent one.
No,
yeah,
I don't know.
The one you just showed.
Yeah.
The one you just showed, Top, that one just went up in Toronto a couple of days ago. And it's literally like a stone's throw away from New York. So, because it's Toronto, Canada, but it's right there by New York. Hanuman, big monkey man god, that one is 90 foot tall. And that one's down here in Houston, down here by me. So
that's a wild thing that they pulled that off. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to pull that off even 15 years ago. You're going to erect a giant monkey man statue in Texas? Yeah. All right.
There is also this, there's a concerning partnership with the Indians. You'll see it a lot on Twitter, like where Indians are like devout Zionists. When it was going, October 7th was happening, the Indian community was all over the place. And I was just like, I don't understand it also seems like they're a little bit off put by them. And I get it because they're a little,
Well, people would say that it's a weaponization of an entire like a bioweapon, right? That's the same thing that they say about any kind of racial tension. It's a subversion and a pitting of these races against one another, typically, geared towards white people. I mean, maybe that's because white people typically have a Christian bent. But yeah, that's the conventional explanation, or at least as I've come to understand it. A bioweapon is how they look at people.
Well, I mean, nowadays I would look at it more like they might have similar gods that they're worshiping.
Oh, that's
like,
interesting.
Underneath this, the facade of religion of Hinduism and Judaism, it seems like there is like a lot of fallen angel worship. And I mean, obviously, the Indians are just riddled with this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But when you look at a lot of the symbology within Judaism, or even in a lot of their temples, like it's filled with esoteric symbolism.
And they bear resemblance to one another too. Like if you see these Indian temples, and then
Well, look at the swastika alone. That's like an Indian symbol, but
like a Vedic symbol. Yeah,
it's a Vedic symbol, but then it's used for the Nazi symbology, which is actually kind of pointing at these Norse gods, and then.
It's all the same gods, though, right? Like that's the thing that we're really. I mean, that's what the foundation of the show was. Almost 2 years ago now, was like, I think these gods existed, but they're just lowercase g gods, and they go around from culture to culture, civilization to civilization. They get new names. So yeah, when you're saying there's probably an overlap in whatever the Vedic gods are, and then whatever the they're worshiping. Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're hitting on it. Y'all are both hitting on it, because underneath it all, religion, okay, and I taught y'all this before, if you remember, in the Bible, it tells you that the God of this world is the devil. The God of this world is Satan, okay? And our kingdom is inside of us, but it's also going to come. It's going to come one day. Our kingdom is going to come. But the God of this world is Satan, and he has many different flavors. In Hinduism and Buddhism, and anything that's not coming through Jesus Christ, who says, no man cometh through the Father but through me. I am the door, and there's only one door. So anyone who doesn't go through the door is, they're just in religion. They're in religion. And so what they're doing with all of this is they're bringing all religions together, but they're using, for the Christian religion, they're using Catholicism. That's why the Pope is married up to it. So they're calling Catholicism Christianity, but anybody who's come out of Catholicism, they know that Catholicism is not Christianity. And look, I'm not saying anything against Catholics. I love Catholics. I have a ton of them in my family, and because I came out of Catholicism. But there's a lot of things in Catholicism that are not in the Bible. So that's what religion is. Anything that your institution does that's not in the Bible, where did it come from? It came from man. It's traditions of men.
Catholicism specifically is used in these islands. We've been talking about these islands a lot lately because I'm from Puerto Rico. What is this called? Like Santeria.
Santeria, yeah.
The stuff
or even there's hoodoo and voodoo too.
Hoodoo and voodoo, yeah. They'll utilize Catholicism and different kind of Catholic icons because they can hide their old gods behind the saints that are deified in Catholicism. So it's like
that's right.
It's a weird slippery trick that these people are using, and they're going to continue to use. And that's also that goes back to that. It's a conspiracy theory about that were forced to take on one of the three Abrahamic religions, and they hid behind Judaism because they were able to slip their
gods essentially. Yeah, they were pagans, and then they were like, well, this one kind of already is the closest out of the three, right? And then so they were able to adhere to that. But Laura, do you think that the issue? I mean, you're saying that there's things that aren't biblical in Catholicism, but on the topic of like saints and archangels and things of that nature, we've been suspecting that part of the problem with that is the veneration, right? Like it's like Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He's the narrow path. And if you focus on that, it seems to be, we've described it almost like as a cheat code. It's like that you can put everything else to the side and focus on that. But if you start to venerate these other entities, whether it's like, you're saying prayers and you're praying to the archangel Michael or whatever it is, and you're praying to saints and things like that.
Or Mary.
Yeah, so is that's a form of veneration, that's a form of worship, right? And there seems to be it's a slippery slope where it's like, where does the line between paying respects and then worship end? That's a really blurry line, it seems, and it from where I'm sitting, it looks to be the major weak point in Catholicism is like, yeah, these saints, martyred saints, and all these things, these are things that you should respect, and
We should certainly like learn about them, but there's a hesitancy on my part to like look at those extra canonical scriptures of that they would have written about these saints, and I think that they're important because I mean their journey from the time of Christ till now it's documented. We should know about this kind of stuff, but it's at what point does that slip into veneration, and are we supposed to like go there because then it leads to this?
So, okay, Top, that's a good question. I never really thought about it from that perspective. But when you read those extra canonical works, a lot of them point to and talk about Jesus. So if they're venerating him, then you're on track. If they're not, then and that's the whole thing with Mary. Mary is blessed. She was chosen to be his mother, but she didn't die for you. So that's the problem. It's all about who died for you. You're a sinner. You were cut off from the Father, and there was no way for you to get back to the Father except through the blood of Christ. He is the only one who died. So that's what I tell people. I even asked my dad, I said, Daddy, why do Catholics venerate Mary? And he said, well, because, we figure that that's his mom and she maybe carries a little more weight. And I was like, oh my gosh, you see the thinking? I said, she didn't die for you. It probably pains her to look at all the people that pray to her because she can't do anything for them. She can't do anything. She's blessed. Yeah. And the saints, the apostles, they're blessed. That's great. They're going to rule and reign over the 12 tribes. It tells them that. It tells you that in the Bible. They are going to be rulers, but in the millennium, but they didn't die for us. So everybody's on the same playing field except for Jesus Christ.
And that's the thing too about the angels, right? Is it's like we learn a lot about what causes the angels to fall. It's like pride and accepting worship and things of that nature. And then you're like, it seems like you'd be tempting, whatever archangels you're praying to on a regular basis. It's like, that's the same thing that made 1/3 of them fall. And so I don't know. To me, it just seems like there's too much, the same way they're doing that with the Catholic saints, though. They're hiding their voodoo entities, God spirits within the Catholic iconography. It seems like they're also trying to do that to Jesus, but they're doing it through the New Age movement, where they want you to have this idea of like what Jesus is. Jesus is like an ascended master. Right. Yep. Christ consciousness. It's an oil secreted by your spine. All these different things, and I don't know. I see that attempt being made there, but it seems to have been very successfully made with Catholicism.
Well, you're totally hitting on all of it because it all comes under Freemasonry. It all comes under Kabbalism. Kabbalism is in Judaism. Kabbalism is in Freemasonry. It's all tied together. They are climbing the Sephiroth tree, a spiritual tree. It's a method to ascend spiritually without Jesus Christ. You see the problem? Okay, that's the problem, is that you're trying to ascend without the blood of Christ. And it's the only thing that reconnects us to the Father, because it tells you, like in your fallen state, when you're born from your mama, you're a body, a soul, and a spirit. But the spirit is dead in its transgressions. It is cut off from God. When you make the choice with your own free will and say, I'm a sinner, I need a savior, Jesus Christ is the one I pick. I choose him. I ask him to come into my heart and take my life over. You are bowing your knee. You are surrendering to him as your savior, correct? Until you've done that, you're still disconnected from God. I mean, I've had people that, they're saved, a man and a woman, like they were saved, but their child had severe fear issues. Because I told y'all before, I don't know if you remember, I do deliverance. So
That's getting flexible.
Unbelievable. So, Laura, I would be interested in talking to you off air, but let's bring it back to this noahide laws and how they're all going to decapitate us.
It's a hard segue back.
I'm gonna cut our hands off soon. I forget where
Okay.
exactly we left off. Maybe hopefully you remember.
Okay, so let me give you some highlights, like just kind of highlights of things that go with these laws. Oh,
Because
here.
I know the last one that we
Okay.
were talking. I know where we left off too. I could tell because of the giant Hindu statue that's on Top Lobster's computer. So that's what we were talking about.
Right.
Was this merge?
Well, that's all by design. The Hindu statues are by design, and that's to bring that the Pope has been working for the last 10 or 15 years to bring all religions together. Have you seen these signs that say coexist? And they have
I dislike them.
You just good. That's because you're a Christian. That's like bringing all religions of Satan together. And remember, this is all headed to worshiping the beast, and that's why he's bringing all religions together. And some of the things that, like you said, wouldn't they be in idolatry? The India people, wouldn't they be in idolatry? Yeah, just like we would be, Christians would be in idolatry for Jesus Christ as well. And then, so here's some other things. It says abortion and homosexuality are illegal, and those noahide who do these things must pay the death penalty. A Jew is not subjected to the same penalty. By the way, all their rules are just for y'all. It's like all their rules are for us and not them. They call us Gentiles or goy, right?
Yeah,
That's what
just
they
like
call
in
us because
in the Talmud. When you read the Talmud, it's like, you're permitted to, like, even one of them was like sexually assault, a goyim or whatever, but you're not allowed to do it to a like, so it's like rules for thee, not for me kind of a deal, but it's like really brutal ones because it tells you how they look at you, how they view you.
That's exactly right. And the Talmud is exactly where the Noahide laws comes from. So you're dealing with the exact same people. It's all Talmudism. And that's why they're saying it's the bedrock of the foundation of our moral system. And we're all like, what are you talking about? That's not even in the Bible anywhere. It's not in the Bible. It's in the Talmud. And it was actually these quote unquote Noahide laws came out 850 years after the 10 Commandments of Moses. So it isn't the bedrock of anything. It's a complete flippin' lie. The problem is that these jokers are in charge now. These snakes are in charge. And they are the serpent seed, which is something else that I cover. And matter of fact, and I go on my website, I go deep into the Noahide laws. I have a serpent seed series videos. It's 7 parts. And on part number 6, I go deep into the Noahide laws. And I'm about to put out today, an update on that. So that people can really, and I mean, what we're talking about today is just scratching the surface. I put a lot of information in there with pictures to show headlines and everything else to back up what I'm saying. But you're exactly right, Dave. It's all about rules for y'all that don't apply for us. It's racism, it's narcissism, it's supremacy, and that's what they think because their God, their God is a serpent God. The God is a serpent God. They're into Kabbalism, and Kundalini is all wrapped up in Kabbalism. So their God is a serpent God. Our God is the God of the Bible, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they are converts. They're Edomite, Khazarian, Ashkenazi. And if you go look up in Genesis 10, where that's called the Table of Nations, you'll see that Ashkenaz, he is the grandson of Japheth. That's Noah's 3 sons are Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The Semites are Shemites, okay? That's the word, so if they say, you're an anti-Semite, no, I'm not, because you're not even a Semite. They are Japhethites. The majority of because they are converts. They're not even Hebrews. They are converts. And I'm not saying that if they're an Ashkenazi, that they're evil. But I am saying if they follow the Talmud, they are, if they don't come out of that. Their God says to kill us. Our God says to pray for them. Mm-hmm. There's a complete different God going on here. Totally different God. Their God is the God of Freemasonry. That Kabbalism is Freemasonry. That's exactly what it is. It's all the same God. It's the God of this world. And that's
You don't
why
happen to know if it's that that serpent with the lion head that like Gnostics believe is what God looks like, because you're saying it's a serpent God, and that comes up a lot in a lot of different like
He's the serpent.
Kabbalism and everything. Right. Well, yeah, in the garden.
He's the dragon. I mean, that's where this is headed. Okay, now here's a rule that says a noahide who breaks one of these laws and then becomes a proselyte, meaning converts to their religion, is free from punishment. So what they're saying is, if you have an abortion, or if you commit adultery, or if you're a homosexual and you commit an act, but you convert to become a noahide, saying, I basically bow the knee to your religion and your God, then they say you're free from punishment. Do you see where this is headed? Because Jesus Christ says, if you deny me before men, I will deny you. You see? Can y'all see me?
Yeah. You said if you deny me before men, then I will deny you before my Father.
Yep. So it's going to come down to a choice whenever they enforce this. And this is already, things are going global, right? Everything's going global, which I'm about to lay out for you here. But
yeah, actually, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
One of the things that's concerning me is as you're talking about this, how would you prove that you are a part of this religion? And then you start to think about, well, maybe you just mark them some way. Maybe there will be a little symbol that you'd put on somebody on their hand or head or whatever. And what's really concerning now, I saw news. Yeah, there's news in, I think, Australia that they are rolling this out, and in Mexico where they're making this mandatory as well. These like the biometric data symbols to buy, sell, trade.
That's so funny because when I was a young conspiracy lad, it was all about RFID chips that they were going to, subdermally implant, and it was going to be in your hand or your forehead. And at the time, back in the early 2000s, there was already like an example of a family that had it. And that was so long ago. And we went forward in that, it's kind of always echoed in the background, but I kind of stopped looking at it. I said, unlikely. But now it looks like they're enforcing it. Before we go any further, Laura, do you think, I think she should refresh her browser, that every time it breaks up,